Hi everyone, sorry for my English. I was thinking to do that in French, but I will do in English because there is a lot of English-speaking person. So today I will talk about protocols and history. Yeah. And a little disclaimer to start. In terms of epistemology, it's a start of a thing. So it's not a thesis, it's not like a board discussion, but it's in between. You know, just before the essay. So it's an alpha version of this thinking. And we'll have a plan in 3 parts. Intro. After we'll see. I forget to upgrade my plan. So the first part will be like antiquity protocol, and after we will go to Renaissance, and after we'll go to Web3 and crypto protocols. So we could start to say that humanity starts in a decentralized manner. You have several group of people that exchange with a soft hierarchy between groups at start, and we'll see how it goes into a centralized society with protocol and complexity. Another point is that what is a protocol? A protocol is like a rule system. It's like, before all its rule. I have put here a definition of Furtière with a old dictionary in French, and it's funny because we see a lot of protocol definition like notary act and stuff, like rules and rights stuff, and so we could see that protocols are deep in the society and deep in the mechanism of society since a long time. And after another little introduction about biological protocol, I will not talk about it, but we could see biology as a lot of protocols that work together also, at all the level of the scale. So, the first protocol. So, in terms of communication, we have started with several protocols, like handshake, and it's funny because we took that term for communication protocol in computer science also. So we start with a handshake to show that we don't have any guns on our arm in our hand. After we start to like cheers our drink to be sure that there is no poison in the drink, stuff like that. And so all those little actions are protocols that maybe we forget sometimes, but who permit to have a very seamless interaction and communication between all humans. After we start to have some hierarchical stuff, because you need to have one responsible for several acts and several actions. And also we start to have some diplomacy, because with diplomacy we could like resolve conflict in a seamless manner without harming somebody else. And so that's first protocol of communication in certain sort. And in terms of data, we start with writing, reading. It's simple stuff. We always forget that this is a layerization of our society from the beginning. So with writing and reading, we start to have external storage. The things we didn't have before, because it was the only knowledge that was available was the knowledge that whole guy and whole wise guy give to young guy, and it transmit like that. So all the knowledge was like alive and 100% dynamic in the society. And with the storage, we can start to accumulate knowledge and to complexify knowledge. And we also invent alphabet. That is a very useful way to write, and so to normalize language. Alphabet is also a protocol. You can build on it. You can build with it. All the idea is to say that protocol permit us to build on top. We also had some materials like papyrus or clay to write on. That was a first support, not perfect because with the time this support has kind of problem, but it was quite useful also. And we start to have classified theme and classified subject, like normalization of classification in library. For example, Alexandria library, you have some classification to find the good papyrus. So we start to normalize, and always it permits a more seamless interaction and a more seamless creation of value on top of those protocols. To continue, we have some, it will be, I'm sorry, it will be a long list at the beginning to get to the end and see what decentralized protocol bring. And the idea is also to remember us how all these layers are very important and permit us to create a lot of value. So with some computation protocol, at this time we start to normalize number. And it's very important because if you don't normalize your number with the same base, with the same writing, it's complicated to trade, for example. And it permits to go to arithmetic stuff, geometric stuff, like with Pythagore. And we also start to see symmetric encryption in antiquity. Like, for example, the K6 code was a code of Caesar that just permit to encrypt the message with changing the letter with a specific number in the alphabet. So you see how at each step of humanity we start to bring more complexity into protocol because symmetric encryption was more simple than asymmetric. We'll see that after. And we have some scientific protocol also. So like we start with philosophia. Philosophia is philosophy is the first science. We have astronomy also that permit us to predict time and predict season and stuff like that. So it permits us to rationalize the agriculture and stuff like that. So it's very important because with astronomy we get more food, and with a calendar we could easily see in the future what we want to do. So it's a really important stuff to have in mind, that all these protocols always bring some value and interconnect because it's not a lone protocol. After we have invent the school, the fact that all people learn some basis, or several selected people in antiquity. And we have some history that start also. History permit to have a view on our past. And we start to have some methodic way of doing science with Aristotle and stuff like that. Is not our methods, but it was a start of classify and have a precise method to produce science. So produce also value for humanity. After we have some transportation protocol, like the wheel. Without the wheel, we cannot have useful transportation. It was a very a revolution, and some civilization find the wheel without the usage, but we find a usage for the wheel. We start to raise horse also, a very fast way to get from one place to another. And very interesting, and you could see those archaeological trace with road. You have stone roads in all the Roman Empire, so you could travel more easily. And all those connections permit us to make more value, because in the transaction between humans we create more complex relationship and more value and more circulation of information. And yeah, you have also a lot of sea road and stuff like that, and harbor. You have also hygiene protocol, very important because it permits us to live a little more longer and in a better shape. So you have public toilets in antiquity. That's a great standard to have public toilets, better than your toilets, or just go in some street and put your stuff. You have baths and therm. You have water that everybody could drink with, I don't have the word in English, with pipe. We invent the pipe even in antiquity, so everybody could have access to water that is drinkable. And you have also some interesting stuff in medicine, that is the Hippocrates oath. Thank you. That is very important because with those treaty and paper, we have some normalization for health. And yeah, it's very important to see that we have some health theories that begin and that permit to have a more easy circulation of information and more easy work of health work. Sorry. And all that always bring value because we live more. We live a long time. We live in better shape, and we live with more useful tool. And we could easily get from one place to other place. And in these two places, you could have some guys that will. You're sure that he will try to heal you and not something else. So. This is very crypto because I think crypto is very politic and law related. So you have other protocols that is direct democracy. You have assembly in antiquity. You have draw, random draw. You have citizenship. You have no, not tribunal. Sorry, I have a. Court, sorry, court. Oh, sorry, guys. Court. We have contract. We have wedding contract, and wedding contract is very important also for balance of society. It was a very important stuff at this time. I don't say as today, but at this time it make some balance because protocol are here to create a layer where we could build another stuff. Make more seamless communication and transaction, and also create some balance and persistence. And you will see that crypto protocol are doing that. And you have also adoption and Agora, where everybody could talk and exchange about what the city should be and stuff like that. After, we have war protocol. Personally, I always find that very strange that we have war protocol, but yeah, it's also useful to know that there is some rules in the war, rules to capitulate, rule to pay for being safe after a war, stuff like that. We start to have some contract of war in certain sort, and we will see that. In the last century, we have made some improvement on that. Maybe it's not perfect, as we all could see currently, but it's a good start always. And we have some energy protocol, like fire, slavery. Yeah, it's a strange sort of energy, but at this time, slavery is an energy. And you have raising of animals, and some windy or water energy. And also very crypto-related, finance and trade. So we invent debt, money, at that time. We invent future contract, because there was like future contract for oil or stuff like that at this time. You have commercial area that start to create, and markets, public markets. We were on a simple line accountant, and yeah, we have some property notion and ownership notion that start to begin with the contract logical, and it's also very important to know that you have the ownership of something, and you could do whatever you want with this ownership in a specific set of rules. always rules. I think crypto and rules are really related because there are only set of rules, system of rules that is autonomous. That's the real evolution. But we always need rules to make more seamless communication and to build on top. And identity, it was just a start because we start to have name, identification with name and surname, like Cicéron is a surname for, I don't remember the full name of Cicéron, but Cicéron was because he had some spot on the nose, and so Cicéron is bean, so it's like a bean, and you identify people with their surname. And it's also the start of citizenship, so the citizenship gives certain right and give certain power on the city. So what we see here in all those protocols is not, I cannot list all the protocol of the world, but in those protocol of antiquity, we could see that antiquity was a very wealthy period in the humanity, and that it started a huge growth, but also it started a huge centralization because the state city become very powerful, and with a lot of humans in the same place, you have to rule them all. And as for this period, you don't have decentralized protocol. You have to have some kings or to people that apply the rules and the protocol. So at this time, all those improvements of seamless interaction and services built on top came with centralization, and a lot of centralization. And we'll see in the second part, from Renaissance, Middle Age to Bitcoin, that we have some centralization that will continue to be strong and stronger, and that also our growth will continue with many new protocols that we invent. So you have for communication, you have the letters that will start. You have semaphore. You know, semaphore was a very good way to have a message to be sent from one place to one place with stuff that semaphores that you could see at distance. You have postal invention and stamp. Stamp is very important. I don't remember. I don't know if you imagine that you could, with a stamp, send a letter everywhere in the world. It's crazy that we normalize like the postal services. It's really a big improvement because you are here in France. You put 3 stamps, and there is a guy in the Kenya that will deliver your postal stuff to a specific place. So it was a very good improvement. You have also like improvement in communication in terms of language. You have diplomatic French at the time. You have the scientific Latin. You have the like philosophical German, and you have the trade and commercial English that start to expand. And it was very useful because everybody with the same goal or with an exchange intention could easily speak. You have that in Greece also. It's a koine. It was a simple Greek. The Greek in what the Bible is written. And you have telephone, radio, television, internet. All those medium give us more communication, more seamless communication, and you could see every day what we build on top. In terms of data, same stuff. We get upgrade. We start with a monk that just write and copy. After we standardize the folio. Folio was a standardized format in the Middle Age before we have Gutenberg. We have the print with Gutenberg that made us have book. We also start to have a very precise classification to know what book is what book, and it's also a big improvement before Google, you know, to find the books you need. We also invent pocket book, very important because it gave the freedom to read to many people. and so to give knowledge to more people. And after we have the writing machine, the press, and the printing at home, and the PDF, no, because that's a good standard to exchange documents. After we have some computation protocol again. So we start to have more deep algorithm. Even it was paper algorithm, but with Leibniz and thinker like that, they start to make very important work in algorithmic. We start to have some calculus machine. We have a binary that came again, because binary was known as a base, but it was not so useful, and we find some utility at that time. And we start to have some programmable machine, computer, as we know it, and asymmetric encryption, very useful in crypto, informatic language, several informatic language, formal language of informatics, that is also another improvement to make code execution more safe. We invent the P2P with all that, and we all have a smartphone. And just remember, if I tell you 25 years ago, you will be at home and you will just summon a guy that will come to your home. It's a total unknown person for you. You will give us your address and your name. He will come to your house and he will bring you to another place. And how we get to that? Because it was really sorcellery 30 years ago. It was wizard stuff to have to summon a guy, a totally unknown guy, who will give your address and you give your name. It was like forbidden stuff on the internet. You don't give your name and your address. And you cannot summon an unknown guy like that. And now you have Uber. So all those standardization permit us to create more value and services, always. And now we have quantic computer that arrive, maybe, and quantic cryptography that is already there if quantum computer work one day. After we have a lot of scientific protocol revolution with university, the concept of university, and to specialization. The science division also, because at the time of antiquity it was philosophy and it was just philosophy. You got in many areas, but we start to say, oh, this domain is a science, this domain is a science, this domain is a science. And we start to have some methodological improvement, very important to make science. We start to have statistic. It could be quantitative statistic and Bayesian statistic. And we start to have peer reviewing, very important aussi. It's a very important protocol to build science. And we have double bind experience. Same for transportation. We go from diligence, train. The more important in train is rail. The rail must be compatible between all the national rail and stuff. And we arrive to go to that point to say that we want to have this size so all train could communicate easily. It's not the case everywhere in the world right now, but we have some work on standardization. And standardization always permits us to a more seamless communication, transportation, and to create an exchange value with others. And we have the bike, the metro, the bus, the car, the planes, rocket, and GPS. GPS was also very important to have Uber services but GPS in your pocket, not GPS in your computer. That's always important to know that support could change everything at any moment. Because sometimes we have a tech, but it's not the right support. And maybe in crypto, we have some problem of support right now for UX, for many users. Maybe Ledger is just a very alpha version of what is the support of our future key that will bring us to many places with all our proof and e-identity. You have hygienic revolution with like just washing hand. You must remember that during a long time we didn't know why we have pregnant women that die always. And it was it was a very simple explanation, but not fine at the time. It was because the guy that makes the baby go out of the woman just go on death exploration of corpse just before made the woman get the baby, and don't wash the hand because it was not we don't know at that time that it could hurt the woman. So that's a huge improvement, like in terms of protocol, to say you have to wash your hand when you make some stuff in medicine, or that could be dangerous. And we also invent, I forget for égout, sort? Source, j'ai jamais entendu ce mot, pardon. So everybody got it. That's the most important, and very good revolution also to don't have some shit just in front of you in your home. And after we have some epidemiology. Epidemiology progress with statistics and stuff that permit us to prioritize what we want to heal and in which science. And vaccination also, a very good improvement. Nobody is okay on that, but I will say that, yeah, it's an improvement. And you have also the welfare state. The welfare state is like a right to be in good health in most of the country in the world. That is a great revolution in terms of rules. In terms of politics, yeah, we have made a lot of upgrade also. Administration, like selected voters vote, universal vote. We have the human rights declaration, universal declaration. We have some courts, and we have very short mandate. Also, it's very important, and we have made some constitution that is the base of our right. And in terms of war, we have tried some stuff. Not many results, but we try. We had the nation society. After we have the UN, and we have some Geneva Convention that permits us to give right to prisoner of war, stuff like that. We have convention on the prohibition of chemical weapon. All those stuff are not really simple, as you know, and we also have like unweaponing, nuclear unweaponing. So, yeah, we even if not all stuff is good, we try to have some protocol to regulate war in certain sort. In terms of energy, it was a big difference. We had some carbon. After some coal. We start with the coal. After we get the electricity, and electricity we get continue voltage, alternative voltage, and oil, gas, nuclear, and no renewable energy. And for example, electricity was a very important standard, because when we get the alternative wire, alternative voltage, it permits us a lot of improvement and usage. Always, with protocol, we get more usage, we got more seamless communication, and it improves our quality life, and we built a lot of services on top. And in finance and trade, we have the fiat currency that we all not love at all. We have the bank system, we have the first check, the first anonymous society, very important. You know, the Dutch get the most powerful organization in the world, the VOC, and it was because they invent the anonymous society concept. that permit us to gather funds to fund the expedition and to mutualize the risk and the reward. And it was the first time that we done that, and it brings us the most powerful company of all time that was not so far to build a country in Jakarta totally independent from Dutchland. So it's a very interesting story to see how one protocol, like just the mechanism of gather some funds of many random people that are anonymous, that could be anonymous, could bring us the most powerful organization we never know in the humanity. You have also a lot of free trade zone. You have markets, exchange, and very complex derivative, venture capital, very important for innovation, because without before crypto, it's difficult to raise funds of many people, because at the time of Dutch, you don't have regulation of taking the money of people, but in the last century, we have those limitations. And now with crypto, I think we break those limitations again, I hope. And you have CFTC, the not CFTC, the global trade organization, and a very good one, a very good protocol that I love is the container. Before war, the container was not normalized, and the sea trade was good but not predominant. And when we get the idea to normalize the size of the container, the sea trade start to explode. And now it's 95% of all the trade in the world that get us by sea. And it goes by sea because we have normalized container. It could be stupid like that, but yeah, it's a protocol give us more seamless exchange, more easy exchange, and give value always. And we have started to have double entry accountability also. And in terms of identity, we have some improvement, not crazy one, like ID card, notary act, passport, biometry, and interesting one with the beginning of internet, you have like reputation system and pseudonyma. And a good example of that for me is the eBay of the beginning. If you remember eBay in the beginning, it was only reputational systems. There was no escrow like PayPal. And it was just a reputation system and totally pseudonymous platform. You don't give your paper to eBay. You don't give your paper to the guy you transact with. It's just a reputation system. So it's an improvement in terms of identity because a reputation permits us to exchange without giving information. Because we know that this guy, we don't know the guy, but this guy is trustable. And you will see that all that is a problem of trust. So, in all that period, very long period, I just take some example. I cannot take all example for sure. And like the Greek word, all those innovation from Renaissance and Middle Age give us a very exponential growth. And yeah, it gives us some great improvement for humanity and lifestyle, but with all those complex layers in the society, we give more and more and more power to gatekeepers. Because with all that complexity, we have a problem. The trust is not scalable. We cannot scale our trust. As a human, we cannot scale our trust on more than maybe 300, 400 people. Some people like to take the Dunbar number, but it's discussed a lot, no, the Dunbar number. So the main problem in our complex society is that we cannot scale the trust. And you know it, crypto maybe solves that problem. And so the third part, the second renaissance, and the cyberspace automatization. So all our interaction are transaction. Transaction and interaction are the same thing. When you vote for someone, you give a token to someone. When you talk with someone, you give word to someone. It's not a property stuff, but there is a transaction. And in every interaction in society, we have some transaction. So we are like transactional animals. And in every transaction, you have a problem, not a problem in any case, but you have a trust issue or trust reflection, because if you made a transaction that is an exchange, you wait for a return, and you want that return is good, and you want to have the good consequence on your transaction. So all our global network relationship give us more and more transaction and more complex transaction. And we had those trust issues that I speak just before. And for the first time with distributed consensus, decentralized consensus, we solved the trust issue. Because with Nakamoto consensus, it's like the first stone of decentralized and persistent trust. In the Nakamoto consensus, it is a trust about the ledger, who gets the Bitcoin, etc., etc. But we could imagine that we build more trustable machine or more different trust machine. It's a very disputed subject, I know, but my talk is more conceptual than practical. I don't want to say that Bitcoin is more trustable than other stuff, etc. But in any way, we had a new concept that permits us to have some trust directly in protocol that is not given to somebody in particular. And so we had like a universal notary protocol with Bitcoin. It was the first the first interesting stuff about Bitcoin is that it's like a universal notary. So you could, everybody have accessibility to a universal notary that is trustable. You can put a hash of a document, you can put stuff in the blockchain, and the network, we have a consensus of what you put on the block, and you have a specific timestamp on that. And that's a revolution, because you get a universal notary that doesn't depend of one people that could be certified, like notary in our society, or one people that you choose to certify. So it's really, the first step of improvement of crypto. After we get the monetary and finance, like before, a new protocol for monetary and finance, and it's because it's a triple entry compatibility, because you have active, passive, and proof. And it's a huge improvement also, because if you have the proof, you don't need the accountant. And it changes everything. And we start a new complex financial system with all the stuff we see now in DeFi and stuff like that, and all the crypto ecosystem. In terms of politics and law, we had some very good improvement also, because we see that we could have global law without one guy that had the power. Every crypto protocol must find a consensus about their rules. And yeah, we see at the beginning that it was decentralized organization that just like manage the update for some software. After we see some investment DAO, stuff like that. And now we will see more and more complex stuff. And I hope maybe one day we had some constitution and parallel states in the form of DAO. After you have identity protocol. It's just the beginning, because there is not so much project in the crypto area at the time. There is some, but not a lot. And we start with a random pseudonyma with our public address and all the track record we could have. It's a sort of identity. But you have also proof of humanity protocol like IDNA, you have proof of existence, and I think we will go to a meta-certified identity environment where we have a lot of certification and just proof that we have those certification when we need it. The NFT play right now of gated community is a sort of certified identity, like you have those NFT, you have access to this stuff. It's not like a data on you, it's a data of what you own, but it's a beginning. We have also a new protocol for data storage and like for distribution of data and for naming systems. So it's very interesting because we get back the power on all the internet and a web layer in a novel way that permit to keep them decentralized. And we see some cloud infrastructure that that begin to appear in the crypto world right now. We don't have the scalability of classical cloud infrastructure right now, but we could think that we will achieve to go there. That will permit Web3. I'm not really fan of the word, but for this definition of a cloud infrastructure that permit to have a new web, I think we could talk about Web3. And after, we have some scientific protocol and more knowledge, data knowledge protocol. I think that for the moment, we don't have so many Oracle protocol, but in the future, we will have a lot of Oracle, and we will put a lot of on-chain data with a system of ponderation between people that give the data. So we have like persistency on our data and in a totally decentralized manner, not in the hand of one guy. And it's very interesting. And I think that we will have more and more decentralized funded science and decentralized based evidence science on data. So it's very interesting also that everybody could be easily a subject of a study, a scientific study. Because if you have good identity system, you easily could have good massive study in science. We also have communication protocol. It's only the beginning with protocol like Helium, where everybody could put like an antenna to communicate and to get a mesh network. And I think we will see more and more mesh network. I have a deep thought of Bertie with a huge sponsor of the event. And yeah, I think that we will see more and more decentralization and protocol to have more easy mesh network. And we could think, what are the future protocols that maybe will get out from the cryptosphere? I think of like production protocol, because I don't speak a lot about the production in the stock, but we could have like standardized marketplace for 3D printing plan and stuff. It could be very interesting to have some like very decentralized production. We have some, we could have some energetic decentralized also production with smart grid and free market of energy. And we could have also, as we have very simple protocol to have like fractioned ownership, we could easily take back the power on our plants because we could own plants and build plants together. We have maybe in the future some auto-programmatic protocols, so the persistency of the network is always the same. Like if the DAO vote a specific code, all the nodes compile automatically and get updated with the same version. So we always have the same version of the protocol that is running. And this one is more. We could discuss this one more, but I think we could have some meta-ethic rules that will be very important in the future, and notably in the artificial intelligence domain, I think, and algorithmic domain, we really need some meta-ethic rules. And so we need to vote for meta-ethic rules that algorithm will follow. And I think it's our space is a good support, is a good way of creating tools to regulate globally the artificial intelligence. Because I think it's critical and we cannot let the moral of artificial intelligence in the hand of several guys and several like ethic boards that we could discuss a lot with them and be not agree at all. It's a big power, and I really think that this could be a massive work to do to have meta-ethic protocol to define some rules for the future of our algorithm. And there is many more, I think, that I forget, and so we could talk about. So in conclusion, as I say, it's a very alpha talk. Maybe it was not great, you will say it to me. But in conclusion, we have all the tools, I think, to get back in the distribution of power era and to get back our freedom and liberty by the third-party liberalization. It's not the end of third party, it's just the liberalization of third party. You could choose your third party. Maybe you will prefer to have a third party that is a protocol, maybe you will prefer to have a third party that is code-based, but you have the right to choose. And you have a full access and totally censorship access. And we will raise our complexity capacity of interconnection. And as we saw it, when we have more interconnection and more seamless interconnection, we have more growth. And so we will, I think, we will see a huge value creation with all those new protocols, and we already saw it right now. Thank you, and sorry for the English and the alpha version of talk. If you have some question.
Super fresh presentation. Let's challenge. Who sees things differently? Well, I guess that it sank deep, what you said. So anybody has a question?
En français d'ailleurs aussi si vous voulez, il n'y a pas de...
Oui. Super.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what do you think about, because you know we can see that all the different branches, blockchains are saying we are decentralized, etc., etc. What do you think about that? Because you know, when you go deep to how it works, you can see that they are not all of them, you know, really decentralized.
Yeah, for me that's that's an issue. Clearly, that's an issue. But I think that like the scalability problem was too big, and so people made a trade-off to get some money and get more quicker in a new space. I don't think it's a good way to do, because I think we will find solutions that keep decentralization. And I think my point is that I think that we have the first brick, and it's the first step. I think we didn't invent all the consensus mechanism. We didn't invent all the infrastructure and systemic infrastructure, and I think that there will be many improvements to keep decentralization. But we have a view that it is possible, and I think it is that changed everything. Like, for example, before you couldn't imagine a global anarchy system that worked. It was very complicated to think. But Bitcoin is a global anarchist system. You know, there is no power but rules. And so, in my view, at the beginning, not perfect. There is a lot of trade-off in the space and a lot of maybe different aspiration and goals. But I think that the interesting stuff is that for the first time, marginality has a lot of money and a ton of money. So we could make our own research. And before it was not possible, because you have to beg for some donation and some money. And it changed everything in the space. And so I remain quite positive on that question, even if today we see some protocols with little decentralization that is that had a lot of value, and you could think that this value could go to better initiative. But yeah, that's how it works. Sometimes the money goes in the wrong way we think that it should be. But yeah, it improved, and I think that's the most important. Thank you.
Great. Other questions for Adli? Okay, let's thank him again for this super nice perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you.